But finals football is all about small moments. Can you take advantage of that one mistake from the opposition? And in this case, Hamano fully took advantage of the situation, and Japan go 1-0 up. In response to that, Montemurro changed his team's defensive setup to a 4-4-1-1, with Fowler moving to the right wing position and Gori in at 10, but the damage had already been done. The Gori and Cooney cross midfield problem also affected their attacking build-up. First of all, Joe Montemurro likes possession-based football, so setting his team up in this lopsided 4-2-3-1 system, which is built to play on the counter, doesn't quite make sense. Carpenter wins the ball from Hasegawa, and Cooney Cross receives the ball and looks to slow the tempo down, whilst Eli Carpenter wanted the ball immediately so they could counterattack. This was problem number 1. This gives Japan time to organize their defense. As the Matildas come forward again, Katrina Gori does the job of Blaise Matuidi and runs in behind to support the right side of the attack. Australia build up well, and as the ball comes back to Kennedy, Cooney Cross's position here is completely useless. This is problem number 2. If Montemurro had played her on the left side of midfield, she would be where Caitlin Torpey is right now, and Torpey would then be able to hug the touchline on the left, giving Australia the chance to move the ball quickly from flank to flank. But since Kennedy was forced to go backwards, the forward momentum for Australia is now gone, and Japan have shifted their defense well to the other side. Caitlin Ford gets the ball, and again, if KCC was on the left side, she would be around here to link up with Ford, which is the kind of thing she's exceptional at. But this phase of attack ultimately comes to nothing for them. I know it looks like I'm picking on Kyra Cooney Cross a lot. I love her as a player, but I think she was played in the wrong system, in the wrong role by Joe Montemurro. One advantage of having a lopsided 4-2-3-1 is the freedom of the number 10. Mary Fowler is the perfect kind of player for this role. She's incredible with both feet, good at playmaking, and has a keen eye for goal as well. She picks up this position here, which draws Kitagawa's attention. Playing a lopsided 4-2-3-1 without a right winger means there's technically no one for Kitagawa to mark, so she's left unsure of who to turn her attention to when Australia attack, and this is an avenue they try to take advantage of. Fowler's position here opens up a gap between Kitagawa and Kumagai, and the only player that spots this gap is Mini Gori. But look at how far she has to run to get there. Carpenter is in a good position to play that ball in behind, but there's no one there to play the ball to. Carpenter plays the ball back to Kennedy, and if her first touch was better, then she could have played Gori in behind as well. I'm not saying Australia would have definitely scored from these moments I just mentioned, but I think they would have troubled the Japanese defense a lot more if these issues were fixed. And Montemurro did fix this. Gori and KCC switched sides in the second half, but when Gori came off, they went to a traditional 4-2-3-1 with Hayley Raso as the right winger. Both teams are possession-based teams, but the middle third of the pitch was so heavily contested, as in, both midfields pressed each other aggressively. The Darien Gap in the Americas is an area with dense jungle, extreme terrain, and gang activity. People don't dare to go near it. So if Panama City was one end of the pitch, and Medellin was the other end of the pitch, then the middle third was the Darien Gap. So if you want to go from Panama City to Medellin, or the other way around, the best option is to fly there, which is exactly what both teams did. They went the direct route. Both teams sent long balls over the midfield, bypassing it completely, and this kinda worked. Australia had a number of chances from long balls over the top, doing their best to avoid the piranhas of the Japanese midfield. Japan's midfield are incredibly aggressive at pressing any loose touches or passes from the opposition, and players like Nagano and Miyazawa will often nip in to win the ball because they're just so good at reading the game and understanding opposition decision making. So Australia, quite rightly, went the direct route for most of the game. The best chance of the game, Caitlin Ford's chance in the first half, came from Carpenter pumping the ball over the top to Mary Fowler. She wins the physical battle against Koga, and Ford should have done much better with that chance. After Japan scored, they looked to control the game. They didn't need to score a goal, so they didn't try to force any goal-scoring chances if it meant jeopardizing their team organization. They slowed the tempo down, looked to move the ball around, and they were essentially probing Australia for a possible chance to score another goal. But they wouldn't be disappointed if nothing came of it, considering they already had a 1-0 lead. They did have a few good ones though, most of them falling to Uekiriko, but Japan were mainly focused on defending their lead in the second half. On the other hand, the Matildas looked flustered, maybe feeling too urgent to restore parity as soon as possible. which led to poor decision making in attack and rushing opportunities. The usual quality we're used to seeing from these players wasn't there, as time after time, crosses were wasted, shots were rushed, the Matildas were impatient, and overall it was a pretty poor attacking showing from Australia. Kairakuni Cross does well to win the ball from Miyazawa, and she sees the keeper off the line, and oh my god, what a strike! Is what every Australian wanted to happen at that moment. But the reality was a lot less glamorous, unfortunately. After Winnie Heatley clears across, Kerr heads the ball to Ford and Australia drive forward to attack. Ford ends up surrounded by half the Japanese team and plays the ball back to Mary Fowler. She cuts back onto her favoured left foot. Wait, hang on, not quite favoured, but wait, she's two-footed, which is absolutely amazing. So they're both favoured, I guess? Sam Kerr is calling for the ball, which would have been a great option, but Fowler ends up, not the best decision considering Ellie Carpenter was also free. There was no need to rush that, and Australia's attack is forced to reset and Japan's defense can now organize themselves. Fowler again failed to pass the ball to Carpenter here, which would have released Razzo out wide, but she ends up running into a dead end, Australia's attacking momentum lost, and Japan come away with the ball. You can see just how unhappy Razzo and Carpenter were. And sadly, this was the story of the Matildas' attack for the whole game. Carpenter routinely got into good positions out wide, but crossing is the weakest part of her game, and she sent in some less than ideal crosses for her teammates. One thing that bothered me a lot was that the Matildas kept sending long balls in behind for Sam Kerr to chase. So my question is, what's the point of having a quick winger on the left-hand side if you're not going to have her run in behind? Time and time again, Sam Kerr was the one crossing the ball in, not the one in the box trying to get on the end of a cross. And as one of the best finishers and poachers in the 6-yard box in the world, I cannot understand why the long passes forward weren't aimed at Caitlin Ford rather than Sam Kerr. But now, it's time to give Japan their cherry blossoms. They were defensively tenacious, organized, and they played a practical brand of football designed to win. This performance from Na deしこ Japan isn't usually the kind of flashy movement and incredible passing combinations we would expect to see from them. This was a pragmatic performance, reacting to what was happening on the pitch and adapting their style to it. The early goal from Hamano set the tone for the game, as Australia were then forced to chase the game, as Japan sat comfortably knowing that the defense would be able to repel anything Australia threw at them. They created good chances, their midfield defended really well, and they controlled the game impeccably in the second half. As Australia piled on the pressure late on, Japan went full Chinese Taipei mode by retreating back into a 5-4-1, and tried to hang on to their 1-0 lead. Japan were brave, blocking everything and anything flying towards their goal as they fully deserved this Asian Cup win. I'm gonna be honest, I wish I had more to say about this Japanese performance, as I know most of this video was centered around Australia's tactics. But in reality, this game to me was kinda like Australia constantly knocking on the Japanese door that never looked like opening. Japan's early lead meant that they could just respond to whatever Australia were doing. As long as they kept their defensive shape and work rate up the whole game, then they knew they were never going to concede. Hamano Maika might have won the official Player of the Match award, but the more prestigious Shadow Football Player of the Match award goes to Kitagawa Hikaru. Defensively solid and a constant attacking threat down the left, she was an outlet for Japan to send dangerous crosses into the box, providing a few for Uekiriko throughout the game. And this last-ditch tackle against Hayley Razzo was incredibly brave. A great performance, and a name not spoken about enough within the Na deしこ Japan team. Japan was my pick to win the entire tournament, and now that they've actually won it, I can say I was right. No, but seriously, congratulations to Na deしこ Japan for a wonderful tournament, playing some incredible football along the way, and whilst I can't forgive Japan for beating my country 2-0 in the opening game, they fully deserve to win the final and there's so much more to come from this team in the future. So where do both teams go from here? Well, from what I saw, the Matildas lack something Japan has in abundance: team cohesion. This Australian performance in the final looked like 11 individuals playing together for the first time, whilst Japan's team unity was 10 out of 10. Japan also have incredible squad depth for their team, to the point where they can leave out the likes of Tanikawa Momoko, Tanaka Minna, Shimizu Risa, Seike Kiko entirely from the game and still win the final. All in all, commiserations for Australia and congratulations to Na deしこ Japan. This has been a great Asian Cup tournament. May Asian football keep improving, keep progressing, and keep rising up.